Welcome back to the Birdhouse Dynasty Show and our updated tight end rankings with rookies and tiers included. And we haven't done a tight end update in a couple of months since right after the NFL draft, and we didn't have the rookies included in that one. We will have them included in this one right now. How's everybody doing out there? Some of you might be in the middle of a dynasty startup. You might have just finished a startup. You may be looking to wheel and deal for some tight ends. So hopefully, this tight end ranking show will help you figure out what you want to do with the tight end position, because the tight end position really comes down to league format, most importantly, and then how you want to play your roster with the tight end position in that format. So things definitely change if you're in a tight end premium, especially a heavier tight end premium format like 0.75 or full point tight end premium, or you have a start two tight end league. So those kind of leagues, the tight end position weighs much more heavily on your roster. But even then, doesn't matter if you don't have an elite tight end, you can still play the game a different way and use some of these rankings to help you get some of the bottom end tight ends into your lineups, whether it's lineup league or best ball. And I'll go over that a little bit after the rankings for you. So when we start off talking about the tight end position, of course, there's a couple of guys up at the top, and there's no reason to argue who they are. We've got Brock Bowers and Trey McBride up at the top. Now, I've had them in tier one with Bowers and McBride, as well as Sam Laporta. Now, what I'm going to do, though, today is change things up. I am going to put Brock Bowers alone on his own in tier one. And the reason for that is there's nobody who is drafting Trey McBride over Brock Bowers right now. I've had a couple of startups since the NFL draft, and in that time frame, there's been absolutely no drafts that have had Trey McBride go ahead of Brock Bowers. And if you want Bowers, but you have McBride, you're going to have to pay something, whether that's a second rounder or even a first rounder or another player. There's no way that you're getting Brock Bowers straight up for Trey McBride. Now, I could rank them 1, 2, but I'm going to put Bowers alone on the pedestal of tier 1, then Trey McBride alone in tier 2. And I wanted to do that because they are so far ahead of everybody else that I could almost just list this next tier as tier 4, right? Which I'm not going to do because that's a little silly, but just know that there's like at least a gap of a first round pick between Trey McBride and the next tier down, which is Sam Laporta and George Kittle. I am going to move George Kittle up to the 4 spot alone. Oop. There we go. And have him sitting there, because there's some leagues where you honestly, you could have Kittle ranked ahead of Laporta in my mind, because Kittle, you're getting the instant production. Why is it doing that? I don't like what it's doing. Doing a space. All right, I'm just going to do this for now, and I will figure it out later and fix things. Okay. There we go. All right. So those are alone, and then we're going to go to tier 4. And that's where we're going to make an adjustment. I don't feel Dalton Kincaid anymore is right behind them in that range. Now I can get Kittle out of here. And I'm going to move. I really don't. I'm going to have Tucker Kraft ahead of the rookies. So I'm going to keep Tucker Kraft at number 5. There. And that's where we're going to insert the rookies, Tyler Warren from Indianapolis and Colston Loveland with the Bears. And now I have not drafted any shares of either of these rookies. I just dislike the landing spots, and you may tell me, well, you guess you didn't learn anything from Brock Bowers last year. Well, Brock Bowers did have some gunslingers throwing the ball to him, to be fair. He had Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell who liked to sling the rock, and that's part of the reason Bowers was still able to put up monster numbers. Now, can Colston Loveland and or Tyler Warren produce that? It's going to be difficult just because of the passing volume involved in Indianapolis and then the other weapons that are there in Chicago. Brock Bowers did not have those obstacles. He had Jacoby Myers, and Devontae Adams was there at the beginning of the season, but not the whole year. Now, Colston Loveland walks into a room that already had Cole Kmet there, and Cole Kmet is not awful, okay? Yeah, it sucks now because they're going to split some snaps for sure, and I don't know how much two tight end play they're going to use with Ben Johnson. Now, Ben Johnson obviously was able to help Sam Laporta into a tight end one season in his rookie year. I just don't see that in the cards realistically for Colston Loveland. Is it possible? Sure. But is it likely? No. So that's where I'm coming at from that angle. Now, I do want to get Travis Kelce mixed in here somewhere because I just took him out of the 7 spot. And Travis Kelce is obviously an interesting conundrum. He finished top 5 in most tight end formats last year, but he's going into his age 36 season now. Now, Tony Gonzalez played to, I believe, age 38 and produced every year. And there's no guarantee that this is Kelce's last season. Sure, everybody wants him to retire or acts like they do, but I don't know that that's going to be the case. So for now, I'm simply going to put him. I'm going to put Travis Kelce right after David Njoku. Now, I'm going to move TJ Hawkinson, though. That's what I wanted to do. TJ Hawkinson, to me, is in line for a monster year, and I'm going to put him after Tucker Kraft. I like him more than the rookies, and so we're going to do that because I like him there more. So that's what I'm going to do. Hawkinson has a great opportunity in Minnesota with the rookie J.J. McCarthy, as well as great weapons around him in Jefferson and Addison. Addison might be getting a suspension coming up here, so you could see the rookie kind of lean on Hawkinson early in the year. We'll see, but Hawk is still decently young. Like I know he's been playing 4 or 5 years now, but he's still only 27 years old. So like Hawk still has plenty of time to play in the league. It's not like he's in his 30s, all right? And which is what you can't say about Mark Andrews, who will turn 30 this year. Evan Engram already is, so that's why I have Hawkinson up in that tier 4. So now we're going down to tier 5, and this is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to flip Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely around because I'm actually going to move likely down, so we'll just eliminate him there. Now, I do want to do this, and I'll put Travis Kelce in here at number 13, and then Isaiah Likely I'm going to move down into this range. Okay, so we need to insert Ferguson, and we also need to insert some of the flashier new rookies. Now, we have what I like to call a rookie tier of Mason Taylor, Terrence Ferguson, Elijah Arroyo, and Harold Fannin Jr. And those 4 tight ends all went or have been going in our rookie draft somewhere between rounds, the mid to late round 2 through round 3 generally. They always were getting selected. And they're all talented. Most of them have decent opportunity as far as the teams that they drafted them. They have better opportunity than the 2 rookies that are ahead of them in Warren and Loveland. You know, Taylor is going into a situation where he is literally could be the second option right out of the gate. And when we're talking tight ends and looking for that elite breakout type season, something that we got from Jonnu Smith last year, you need them to be one of the top 2 targets on their squad. And with basically just Garrett Wilson there in New York, you could look for Mason Taylor to possibly simply be battling Breece Hall for the number 2 targets in New York. Like the rest of their receiving core is absolutely terrible, and so Mason Taylor right out of the gate could be looking at huge numbers. And so that's where I'm looking at putting Mason Taylor right now is in this tier, which would be, well, it's tier 6. So there we go, and we're going to put Mason Taylor in here, right here. There we go. Then we have Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts I have just completely soured on, so I am moving him down for sure. All right. Now, do I want to put Terrence Ferguson? I have Ferguson ahead of Arroyo because I like the Rams' offense, but it's very tight. We'll put it that way. So between Ferguson and Arroyo, and we still have Jake Ferguson to enter in. I'm going to put Jake Ferguson first with the Cowboys. Now, George Pickens did come into town, and that could hurt Ferguson, but it's still a great Dallas offense. Ferguson could get a lot of red zone looks there. All right, so we'll do that, and then we'll have Terrence Ferguson. This is going to be a large tier, we'll just say that, because you have a lot of leeway as far as whether you want to go veteran, whether you want to go rookie. It's hard to argue against it either way, but I'm going to move Pat Freiermuth down, definitely. And so we'll have Dallas Goedert right here at number 17. There. There we go. So then we have Cade Otton. I'm going to put Arroyo ahead of Cade Otton. There. Now I know these are set off by a space. I don't know why that did that, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. And, ooh, I forgot Isaiah Likely. Okay. We'll put Isaiah Likely right after Mason Taylor. There we go. Now we've got Goddard in at 18. is, then Arroyo will be 19. There we go. Now I still have to put Harold Fannin in there, and I'm going to have Otten ahead of Fannin. Fannin is going into a rough situation in that he's going to be behind David Njoku, and I don't know how much Cleveland's going to implement 12 personnel where they have 2 tight ends on the field, but I'm sure they're going to try. They didn't draft him as high as they did in the 3rd round to not play him. So I think Jonnu Smith going to Pittsburgh just crushes his. We'll slide him right in after Jonnu Smith there. Fannin, Cleveland, and then we're going to put Pat Freiermuth. Now, Freiermuth has been on the downside in the community, that's for sure. Him getting David Njoku into town, or sorry, Jonnu Smith into town, definitely doesn't help things. Now we're going to put Noah Fant right there. So now we got a double tight end situation going on there as well. Now, this is where it gets interesting as well. In the next tier, we want to, what is this, tier 7? Okay, so now this is the ugly of uglies, the ugly old veterans that still produce. And so we've got Hunter Henry moves way up the board here. Hunter Henry should not be down there at 34. Okay, I'm going to move Hunter Henry up to the top of this tier. Hunter Henry and Drake May definitely produced well last season, and there's no reason to believe they won't be able to do so again this year. And so you got those two. Then I'm going Zach Ertz in Washington. Who knows how long he'll play still. And then I want Mike Gesicki in there, so then I can eliminate those guys in Cincinnati. Starting tight end in Cincinnati, a good offense. They should still score a decent amount. So I'm putting those two right there. There are those 3 guys in particular I want to highlight in their own tier because they are good, worthwhile buys or draft picks. If you've gone tight end ugly, you can get them late and they could start for you right away basically. Then I'm going to, at 27, we're going to go Aronde Gadsden Jr., who I believe has a good opportunity there in LA with the Chargers. And yeah, let me get rid of Zach Ertz here. There we go. That looks better. Okay. And I'm also going to move Michael Mayer and Ben Sinnott down, as well as Tyler Conklin, all these guys. Chigokaku should be ahead. Actually, Chig should be, I'm going to put Chig here. Yeah. There, he's got a good opportunity in Tennessee. I'll give him that. With the new quarterback in Cam Ward. And then we're going to go JT Sanders. Okay. There we go. All right. Then, so I want to take JT Sanders out. Okay. Just make sure, scrolling down, if there's anybody else I want to eliminate. No. But I do want to bump Noah Gray up. Yes, Noah Gray. I think with the questions around Travis Kelce, could get more opportunity this season and then eventually take over. Who knows? I mean, they drafted Wiley this year. And so who knows what they're thinking in Kansas City, if they're going to give Noah Gray more looks or if Kelsey's still going to get the same amount of opportunity. Okay, then I'm fine putting Taysom Hill here, there, and then I think we have one more tier break where we just have the uglies of the uglies. And there's one more guy, just came, I can't believe I forgot. Darren Waller. Darren Waller coming back is just insane. And the way that happened with the Dolphins trading away Jonnu Smith to the Steelers and then getting Waller to come out of retirement, it's just craziness. But I'm going to slide him in. Yeah. I'll slide him in right after Arroyo. Yeah. There we go. We'll slide Cade Otton in at 21. There we go. Now Cole Kmet gets 22. Dalton Schultz, 23. Dalton Schultz, another one of those wily vets. He's still young enough to have him ahead of the others, though, in regards to Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry, those types. So I'll keep him where he's at there. Okay. There's Fannin. Then we have Freiermuth. There we go. All right, right numbers. Okay. Okay, now Hunter Henry is at 28. There we go. And everybody's in line now. Okay, there we go. Tyler Conklin with the Chargers. Ben Sinnott hanging in the wings there, hoping for a Trey McBride type breakout. I don't know if that's going to happen in Washington. We'll see. Theo Johnson, somebody I could move up. Juwan Johnson still technically the starter with the Saints. I don't know. I'm just not too excited. Luke Musgrave, Daniel Bollinger, Dawson Knox. You can see it really gets ugly fast. Gerald Everett, Gesicki, we already. There we go. Hayden Hurst in LA also. Tyler Higbee with the Rams still. Kate Stover, Houston. Brevin Jordan in Houston. All behind Dalton Schultz. So yes, I do think that the Houston offense can produce, but I don't know they could support 3 tight ends. We'll just say that. Mo Alley Cox still hanging out with Jelani Woods in Indy. Both roadblocks for Tyler Warren, although Warren, I'm sure, will surpass them. Dulcich hanging out in New York now. Schoonmaker's still with Dallas. Let's do this right. There we go. Now Davis Allen. And Darnell Washington kind of lost in the mix in Pittsburgh as a blocking only tight end. All right. There we go. Much better. And let me get this set right there. Now, missing somebody. Who did I get rid of? There's Bowers, McBride. Laporta. Kittle, Tucker Kraft, Hawkinson, Warren, Loveland. Am I off one? Okay. 12. Okay, I think I gotta make Mason Taylor number 13. And then we're gonna be good. There we go. Okay, now everybody's numbers changed and we're good. I don't have to do everybody. Now, Tier 7 in particular, this is what I want to talk about when I get to tight end strategy, because when you're looking at the tight end position, just in general, you go up to the top with Bowers and McBride, and you've got two guys who are actual difference makers, regardless of the format, especially in non-premium formats. Ironically, I know people find that hard to believe. You would think that it's got to be a league where they get a big premium that would bump Bowers and McBride up higher, but the actuality is the bottom, the lesser tight ends are the ones who benefit from the tight end premium leagues, especially half point, okay, and then full point, half point, 0.75, and full point tight end. The bottom tight ends are the ones that get moved up the board and actually can fit into your flex position. Bowers and McBride are starting regardless, and they separate themselves from the pack even more in non-tight end premium leagues because the other guys aren't getting all those bonuses for their receptions. So Bowers and McBride are that much better than the rest of the field then, so therefore they should move up the board, okay? I don't know if you understand the concept, but that's the truth. And so, like, I saw Brock Bowers as in a start two tight end, 0.75 tight end premium league, and Bowers went 101, right? But that's because it was start two tight end. You could have argued McBride even to go at the 5th pick in that format, but he didn't, and McBride went at the 109, I believe it was, right? So then Laporta went and Kittle went as well, and they all went early, And then the rest of the tight ends, we saw a huge run in rounds like 11 through 16. So what I'm getting at is there's a huge clump after the top guys, and you're really just looking for production, in my opinion, because when you're talking these rookies from this year's class, it's very hard to gauge how many targets they're actually going to get. Like Terrence Ferguson, is the guy going to start? Is he going to be behind Higbee? Is Davis Allen going to get looks? Like, who knows, right? But Mason Taylor, on the other hand, he doesn't have much competition. So there's a difference there. But when you're trying to compare Terrence Ferguson to Hunter Henry, for instance, like, why does it seem that people tend to just lean towards the youth so much? Hey, Alan, how you doing? Good to see you. Just let me know any tight end questions you have. But again, back to like Ferguson versus somebody like Hunter Henry. Why not just take the production and run, and then if you need to, you can trade for somebody like Ferguson or Fannin or whatever later, like when you know they're actually going to be good. Now, if you're in a rebuild, for sure, then you don't want a guy like Hunter Henry getting you points and killing your chances at a higher draft pick. You don't want Zach Ertz. You don't want Mike Gesicki then, right? But everybody else, like middle of the road teams and above, you should be going after these old reliables in Henry, Ertz, Gesicki, Dalton Schultz. He's cheap too, but I've got him up higher. That's just my thoughts. And like Jonnu Smith is somebody that's a huge sell to me right now. It may be too late, but there might still be the people that see Aaron Rodgers there and think, oh, Jonnu's still going to smash. No, Jonnu's not going to smash. He's going to put up kind of similar numbers to what he did in Atlanta, which was decent, but it wasn't top 5, okay? Pat Freiermuth is still there. He's still in the building. He still had 85 targets last year. Even if you take 20% of that away, you take 16, 17 targets away, he's still at 65 to 70 targets, Pat Freiermuth, that is, right? So, yes, I believe Jonnu and Freiermuth will be the second and third options behind DK Metcalf, but at the same time, they're eating into each other's looks, and so I can't have them ranked much higher. Okay, I'm not going out there trying to trade for them, put it that way. Now, if it's a tight end premium league and you can get them cheaper, if it's like a full point premium or a start 2 tight end league, yeah, I don't mind getting Freiermuth on the cheap right now because everybody thinks he's washed. He's completely done, okay? A situation like Noah Fant and Bronson Arroyo, the old pitcher, Elijah Arroyo and Noah Fant, that kind of situation scares me, okay? You got 2 tight ends, a new quarterback, a new system. Who's going to get the looks? You still have JSN there. You still have Cooper Kupp there, okay? And then a third wide receiver, plus now Fant and Arroyo. And it's not like Fant was putting up great numbers last year anyway, okay? So you keep Fant at the same spot he was. Arroyo, yeah, maybe he overtakes Fant at some point this season. But until I see that, Arroyo's not somebody I've been really buying either. Even though he looked great this offseason, he had a great Senior Bowl, great combine, and then he got drafted decently. But there's that big but. There's a lot of other targets there, and it's hard for me to see Arroyo squeezing his way past Cooper Kupp into being one of the top 2 options there in Seattle, which is what you need if you're going to be going after an elite target producer. Same with Terrence Ferguson. I know he's looked good and people like him, it's really just Mason Taylor, and then it's all the rest of the rookies, honestly, to me, after you're talking Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland. So, again, I want to remind you, just be careful when you're going after this value at the rookie position at tight end. You're going to get burned more often than not. You're going to end up with JT Sanders, Chigo Konkwo, those types who are just sitting there now. The only reason they're ranked is, well, yes, they're the starter, but they've already proven that they really don't do much. Now, Chigo Konkwo is an interesting spot because he actually sneakily does have the opportunity to be the number 2 target in Tennessee. So that's a situation that you want to monitor, okay? It actually makes me want to move Shig up. Ooh, I don't know. I gotta have to think about that one. Okay. But anyway, back to these tiers and the strategy and why I do that. So you can load up at the other positions much more heavily then. You can build up your wide receiver room. You can get your second, third, fourth, fifth wide running backs, and then still fall back on Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz, Mike Gesicki in rounds 15, 16, 17 as startup drafts, okay? That's my point. That's what I'm getting at. You can still get point production that ends up top 10, top 15 in the league, all right? And you're not crushing yourself. You're going to be losing out to Brock Bowers or Trey McBride no matter who you have. George Kittle is literally the only one who can. In fact, you know what? I'm sick of dancing around it. I'm just going to put George Kittle at number 3. And Sam Laporta at 4. Okay. I have to see it from Laporta again to believe it. And I don't think that Laporta sucks. That's not it. I just think that he's in a system now where we've seen it last year. The year before, Jamison Williams wasn't getting as many targets. So that's why Laporta got to tight end 1. But this last year, Laporta just, I mean, it was a lot of trick plays and a lot of garbage that got him even to tight end 8 in most formats. So that's where I'm scared off. Okay, Tucker Kraft, TJ Hawkinson, it's a good argument. Okay, Kraft I have ahead of Hawkinson right now because I think he's got an opportunity to be one of the top 2 target earners with the Packers. Now they brought in Matthew Golden. I just don't know how many targets Matthew Golden's actually going to see. If he's playing that X spot, running deep routes, it's going to be a lot of Jaden Reed underneath. But Jaden Reed, again, in that Packers offense, just like Ricky Pearsall in the Niners, if you're the third wide receiver in those offenses, it's not guaranteeing you a lot of targets or a lot of snaps. You have a good target share when you're in the game, but the snap share is down. The snap share is like 65 to 70% only. You need to be up at the 85, 90% at least to be a top 20 wide receiver. So it's hard for me to see. Again, I know Jaden Reed's been really buried, and I don't want to get into a whole wide receiver thing, but Jaden Reed does have an opportunity to be like top 35, but that's as high as I'm going to go, just because of the snap share alone. Now, an injury happens and things may change, but as far as with everybody's healthy, yeah, it's hard for it to happen. Okay, Mark Andrews is a sneaky play there, and so is Evan Ingram and David Njoku. The problem with that is they're not elite. Okay, they could finish top 5, but will that mean much? Will that top 5 be so far below the top 2 guys that finishing 5th isn't much better than finishing 10th? You know what I'm saying? So that's where this is a range that you want to watch yourself, because in a startup, these are you have to buy these guys in the range where you could be grabbing a very good wide receiver. So unless it's a full point tight end premium or start two tight end league, I don't recommend drafting them. Not drafting them at all, but I don't recommend drafting them before round 10. Like, if you can get one of them in round 10 or later, fine. I'm fine with that. But you want to build up those wide receiver rooms. You want to get a starter or two at running back. Even if it's those old uglies like Tony Pollard or Brian Robinson, that's fine. But don't go reaching for tight end expecting much more out of David Njoku than finishing tight end, 5 through 12. He's going to finish somewhere in there, and I don't know that tight end 5 is going to be much different than tight end 10, tight end 11, or 12. That's honestly, on a week-to-week basis, these guys are going to average in a normal league, somewhere around 10 points, 11 points. You get a premium league, yeah, then it's a little bit more, but it's still not enough to bump them up versus each other, because I've seen Njoku going like round 8. It's just scares me to what they're thinking. And so I know what they're thinking. They're like, oh, I need a tight end. But why are you doing that? Like, you can get Hunter Henry in round 14 or 15. Like, just grab him there. I don't know. So that's where I'm at on my tight end rankings. Go ahead and rip me in the chat. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm dumb. Tell me Hunter Henry sucks. You're stupid. I don't care. But this is how I've played it at tight end, and I've done pretty well playing the tight end position this way. So, yes, has it screwed me over at tight end once in a while? Sure. But you know what? This is Dynasty, and it's not very hard to trade for a decent tight end. Like, you can give up a second rounder and get a decent tight end very often. Okay? I know, because I've tried trading David Njoku in one of my leagues for a second rounder, and nobody bought him. So I just hung on to him. Just fine. Through a rebuild, fine. I'll keep David Njoku. He's still young enough that he's got a couple of years left, at least, if not more. I have no problem holding on to somebody with his talent, yet not elite, not terrible. He's just going to sit there. And that's because the year before I got him super cheap in the startup, so that's why I have him. But otherwise, Njoku, Ingram, Andrews, I would want to be the last person drafting one of those guys in that tier. Otherwise, I'll just wait. And so, if you have any questions on the tight end position, on the tight end strategy, go ahead, hit me up. Join the Patreon, smash the like and subscribe. There's plenty of chat going on in our Patreon now. You get plenty of good advice from me, from Matt English, from some of our other well-known patrons in there. They're always willing to help. It's just $3 a month right now, so that's $36 for the year. That's super cheap. And when you're in your startups or when you're trying to make deals right now before the season starts, I know everybody wants a good second opinion or somebody to pump up them. Make sure they're just to get reassurance. Hell, I even look for reassurance sometimes in my trades, right? So go ahead, join the Patreon. That's where it helps out the most, honestly. Yes, I post all my old videos. Yes, I post these rankings. Yes, I have a touchdown chart on there tracking which teams changed offensive coordinators, and that is likely to increase their touchdown production for the next season. There's a chart for that. So go ahead, check out the Patreon. Again, just $3 a month. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Check out the great new content coming out in the Birdhouse Dynasty show this week. We are ready. It is training camp. We've got a great training camp video coming your way, and I'd love to see you join in there as well. With that, I'd like to remind you, as always, never stop working.